Hello, and welcome to this lecture entitled Devising Research Questions from Themes. This is the third lecture in our trilogy on selecting a topic and narrowing it to a research question. The research question is the starting point of your paper, and your answer to that question will become your thesis statement, also called your claim. You'll support that answer with argument and evidence. So working out a good research question is an important ingredient to making a solid research effort. But understand this, devising research questions is a bit of a trick. So your initial question and answer to it does not have to be great before you can get started in in-depth research. This is to say that coming up with well-articulated research questions and answers is something of a matrix. You partially articulate a question, then you do some research that alters your question, then you do more research based on the refined question, which refines it some more, then you do more research, and so on until you understand and can articulate an answer to the question and support that with argument and evidence. Creating a good research question is both an important and difficult skill. It takes practice, more practice than you can get in a single course. But the good news is that research questions for class research papers don't have to be perfect in either conception or articulation to move you forward. Nevertheless, the more solid you can make your research question from the very beginning, the better off you'll be. Remember, the paper you write will answer your research question, so the question focuses your research, telling you to look for certain data and interpretations while leaving others alone. According to Jules Benjamin's Student's Guide to History, one approach you can take is to consider that a research question emerges from one of the themes you've distilled from your topic. A research question begins as a component of a theme, just as each theme was a component of your topic. So you can begin by analyzing your themes for their component parts. There's one difference. When you distill themes from your topic, you phrase them as statements. The research question you distill from your theme is just that, a question. And there are particular types of questions. They ask how or why. The other types of questions, who, what, when, and where, are part of the context of the answer to your research question. So distill components from your themes, then turn those into how or why questions. Research questions don't merely ask how or why. That would be entirely too shallow and too easy, and we know that history as a discipline seeks depth and complexity. To achieve some depth and complexity in your research questions, please look at your textbook, The Craft of Research, Chapter 3, Section 3.3, entitled From Focused Topic to a Question. In our previous slide, I suggested that you can distill components from your themes, then turn those into how or why questions. The authors of Craft of Research suggest a different approach. Ask questions directly of your themes. For example, ask how your theme developed over time. Ask how the theme fits into a larger structure or system. Ask how one theme compares with another theme and other themes that are similar, or ask why your theme's events unfolded as they did. Another way of generating research questions is to explore the historical literature called historiography of your themes. As you read historical articles and books for data, also read them for their interpretations. Then you can see what other historians think are useful research questions. You can disagree with those interpretations, agree with them but offer your own twist, or find an area other historians have neglected and seek to answer questions about that, which is called filling a gap in the literature. Let's look now at how to analyze your themes for questions. Remember in our lecture about analyzing a subject for topics, we began with the subject of strikes in the U.S. Gilded Age. Then we distilled 3 topics from that subject: the 1877 Great Railroad Strike, the 1892 Homestead Strike, and the 1894 Pullman Strike. Of those 3, we chose to pursue the 1892 Homestead Strike. Then from that topic, we distilled 3 themes. Conflicts between the Union and Henry Clay Frick led to the lockout. Frick's attempts to use Pinkertons led to the intervention of the Pennsylvania State Militia, and Alexander Berkman's attempted assassination of Frick. Let's look at one of these themes to write potential research questions from. We chose the theme that conflicts between the Union and Frick led to the lockout or strike. We can ask 3 questions of that theme. The first is, how did the successful 1889 strike lead Frick to try to bust the Union in 1892, which concerns development over time? The second is, why was the 1889 strike successful for the Union, but the 1892 lockout a disaster, which is a comparison question? The third is, how did workers' tactics fit in with those of other strikes in the 1880s or even 1890s, which asks how one set of events fits into a larger system, and it's a bit of a comparison too. These are not all the themes or questions that we can come up with about the Homestead Strike of 1892, but these give us a good example of questions that help us focus our research. Once we choose a question and answer it, we can express that question as a claim, then build a report using the evidence we've gathered to support an argument that demonstrates that our thesis, our claim, is correct. In summary, this lecture has addressed the place of research questions, how to derive them, and has provided an example of moving from subject to topic to themes to questions. The research question focuses your research, and your answer to it, articulated as a statement, becomes your thesis statement that we also call your claim. We've examined 3 approaches of devising research questions. One was to analyze your themes, then turn those statements into how or why questions. A second was to ask questions of your themes, how one of your themes developed over time, how it fit into a larger structure, how it compared to similar themes, and why the events of the theme unfolded as they did. The third way had you draw research questions from the historical literature on your themes. As you read to find out what happened and to snag data to use in your paper, also read for those historians' interpretations, then position your own questions within those they ask. You can disagree with one or more historians. You can agree, though with a difference, or you can figure out what others have not addressed and fill that gap. Finally, we looked at an example of analyzing a subject area into 3 topics, choosing one of those topics and analyzing it into 3 themes, then choosing one of those themes and asking 3 questions of it. Of course, there are many more topics, themes, and questions, even in that one subject area. But one thing I hope you'll learn in this class is that you cannot cover everything, that you must exercise your own agency and make choices. The point of this class is to help you recognize this and do it well. This ends the lecture. As always, thanks for your attention.